the autonomous body that organizes the elections. Now, the bone of contention here being the electoral code, because many political parties, including the regime political party, have a contention with the electoral code. Now, the organizing body, which is Elections Cameroon, that organizes the elections, now just follows strictly the electoral code. So, in my opinion, it shows the vitality of it. It also gives credibility to the organizing body, but now it's left to be able to confirm with the electoral code by the Electoral Commission.
Mozambique's highest electoral authority, the Constitutional Council, has refused to order a recount of last October's disputed general elections and have rather formally charged the opposition leader Venancio Mondlane with incitement to terrorism, escalating political tension. Mondlane has positioned himself as a defiant voice against the ruling Frelimo party, leading mass protests and calling for systematic reform. Mondlane, who emerged as a prominent challenger to President Daniel Chapo, faces 5 criminal charges, including public apology for crime, incitement to collective disobedience, and public instigation to crime. The director for CDD Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga, explains.
These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle. This is clearly looked at as a weaponization of the law to prevent him from standing in the next electoral cycle.
A parliamentary ad hoc committee in South Africa should probe the allegations by the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The recommendation was made following a joint sitting by Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police and the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Constitutional Development yesterday. The adopted report by the Joint Committee will be tabled in the National Assembly today. The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron, outlines some of Mkhwanazi's allegations that they want the ad hoc committee to look into.
There are a few recommendations. One is allegation regarding Minister Ntunu's decision and instruction to disband the political killing task team, and then also the alleged unlawful removal of 121 case dockets from that task team on the direction of the Deputy National Commissioner General Shadrach Sibia, and then the moratorium on filling vacancies within the Crime Intelligence Unit or division. Also, a big question is whether the minister misled Parliament about the nature of his relationship with Mr. Brown Mogotsi.
At least 12 bodies have been recovered after a mine collapsed in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Residents say many others are feared to be missing. The BBC's Barbara Platt-Asher reports.
Reports said a series of cascading landslides buried up to 15 mining shafts without warning. It's not clear why. This happened at an artisanal mining site north of the city of Bukavu in the eastern province of South Kivu. A local resident said it was likely impossible to know how many people were working there when the shafts collapsed because of the informal nature of the site. The incident took place in an area controlled by M23 rebels who recently seized mineral-rich territory from Congolese forces.
Lastly, the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza has reached new levels of desperation as over 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli gunfire while trying to access food. Despite international pleas and aid efforts, civilians continue to face lethal force, displacement, starvation and a collapsing health system under sustained Israeli military operations. Earlier today, more than 100 aid agencies issued a joint statement warning that mass starvation is spreading across the Gaza Strip. Project coordinator in Gaza for Doctors Without Borders, Caroline Willman, explains.
The impact of the ground invasion in Deir el-Balah has been devastating for my colleagues, for the work that we can do. There is a warehouse of the World Health Organization that has been attacked and in all likelihood will be completely lost. They deliver medical supplies and medication to any Ministry of Health facility in the Gaza Strip, knowing how much all of these facilities were already under pressure. It is just devastating to know that now they will have even less access to supplies.
For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Well, a good afternoon to you and yours, and welcome to The Upside on Channel Africa, The African Perspective, with Tebohole Kuleni and Matseko Mosito. It's 7 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. We're coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. And you can stream us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook, YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. If you have DSTV, it's channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and as always, you can download that SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or iOS device. Let us know how your day is going so far. Where are you streaming us from? +27 63 406 9126. +63 719. Hey, that's my cell phone number. 406 9126. That's the WhatsApp number for the studio. I almost gave away my own personal number there, but
that would be fine.
Happy Wednesday to you, Matseko. How are you doing this afternoon?
Listen, you are making me laugh. So I'm doing great. It's a wonderful Wednesday. I really just love how my days start with lots of good music, with community, with fellowship, with ritualing. So it's always a good day to have a good day. Happy Wednesday to you.
Happy Wednesday. What's coming up on the show? I understand that we get into very serious conversations. By serious, I mean we know how Africa enjoys their beverage.
Yes.
Burv. And we'll be talking about how the beer industry is contributing so much to the economy of South Africa. About 96 billion rand it contributes, including job opportunities, employment. But we're also seeing that there is illicit alcohol trade, and there's job loss, and the technical space, technical innovations are improving by the day, slashing those jobs in the country, in the beer industry. We'll be talking about the impact thereof and the significance of the beer industry in the economy of South Africa and developing countries.
Yes, very important conversation, because really beer is not just beer. There's so many facets that come with it, particularly when we look at the economics around the business of beer. We're also going to be talking all things Brand South Africa. They have renewed their strategic partnership with the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, or TIFA as it's known, for their third consecutive year. So a huge milestone that continues alliance that looks at, mutual understanding and commitment to positioning South Africa, where we look at the space of competition, where we look at investment within the space of global tourism and its vast economy. So we really are going to be unpacking that in the golden hour of the show. So please stick around. Just after 2, we're going to be talking about that. And I understand we're going on a racetrack journey of sorts.
Yes, because the Southern African Endurance Series continues to gain momentum. We'll be joining the 4 hours of Kayalami, which will be taking place on Saturday, the 26th of July. We'll find out more about it, and hopefully you might get a ticket or two, because I'm not available this weekend. But maybe you can
are
get
never
a ticket.
available on the weekends.
You can get a ticket on our behalf and go take videos for us. It's 10 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the Upside.
Vue d'Afrique avec Joël Mouteba.
Cette peur d'un point de non-retour nucléaire suffit-elle selon vous à légitimer une telle offensive, Monsieur Talazi?
Absolument pas du tout. Cela fait plus de 30 ans que l'Israël crie haut et fort sur les toits, où il veut se faire entendre que l'Iran serait à 1 an pour obtenir l'arme nucléaire. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 6 mois. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 2 semaines pour obtenir son arme nucléaire. Et curieusement, jusqu'à ce jour, il n'y a toujours aucune preuve que l'Iran a obtenu cette arme nucléaire, en dépit des déclarations d'Israël et de certaines puissances parfois.
Vue d'Afrique, du lundi au vendredi de 15h à 16h, temps universel.
9 to 12 midday, Central African Time. On the Move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushata.
Should influencers be expected to be impactful in society? If there is a social or societal conversation that goes up, should we be waiting eagerly to hear what the influencers have to say?
They are more than just entertainers. They are thought leaders to some certain degree. They influence culture, they influence people's thought processes, they set trends, they shape opinions of people. And the sad reality is, although a lot of them don't want to accept it, I think we're getting better with them realizing that they're embarking in that journey, and in that space comes with a certain level of responsibility.
I see it differently in that, professionals are already good at their job, but there is an optionality that they might have to use the position that they hold in society to be able to deliver a message. This year you made the example of actors and actresses. So the same could apply to a sportsman. Just because someone's good at soccer doesn't mean that they have to have an influence over society from a specific standpoint.
Keeping you on the know and on the move. Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
There is fire on the mountain, and nobody seems to be on the rock. Oh, there is fire on the mountain top, and no one is running. I wake up in the morning, tell you what I see on my TV screen. I see the blood of an innocent child, and everybody's watching. Now I'm looking out my window, and what do I see? I see an army of a soldier man marching across the street. Hey, hey, Mr. Soldier Man, tomorrow is the day you go to war. Boy, you are fighting for another man's cause, and you don't even know him. Ooh, what did it say to make you so blind to your conscience and reason? Could it be love for your country, or for the gun you're using, kidding? So there is fire on the mountain, and nobody seems to be on the run. Oh, there is fire on the mountain top, and no one is running. Hey, Mr. Loverman, can I get a chance to talk to you? 'Cause you are fooling with a dead man's corpse, and you don't know what you do. So you say you have a lover, and you love her like no other. So you buy her at this. Tell me, who's responsible for what we teach our children? Is it the internet or the stars on television? Why, oh, why? Why, oh, why, oh? So little Lucy turned 16. And like the movie she's been seeing, she has a lover in her daddy. She can't tell nobody till she makes the evening news. For there is fire on the mountain and there is nobody around. Oh, there is fire on the mountain top and no one is around. Oh yes. One day the river will overflow and there'll be nowhere for us to go, and we will run, run, wishing we had put out the fire. Oh, for there is fire on the mountain, yeah, yeah, and there is nobody, nobody. Oh, there is fire on the mountain and no one is running. So yeah, yeah, yeah. There is fire, fire in Africa. Oh, fire everywhere in the sea, yeah, in the air.
There is fire on the mountain. Asha. Beautiful music coming to you on the upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. My name is Tebohole Kuleni alongside Matseko Mosito. It's the Wednesday edition of the show, and we kickstart our conversations with a very important one. Nutrition, especially in winter. What to eat, what not to eat. You know the age-old saying that summer bodies are made in winter. A major contributor is what you are feeding into your body, what you are eating, right? And so we want to know, what ideally should our diets be in winter so that we don't gain too much weight? And for those of us who are now walking on treadmills and exercising and lifting weights to get ready for summer, building that summer body, what are the ideal nutrients that we need to be consuming? I know for you, Miss Plant Forward, your diet is pretty much year-round. You'd never have to worry about seasonally, I must change this, change that, because a plant-forward diet is very suitable for the whole year, is it not?
Yeah, because it's just food. Okay, there we go. It's just food. It really is just food. You just plug it from the ground and you chop it and you eat it, or you cook it if you need to cook it. And you move on. But I think you're absolutely right. It's always a good time to talk about nutrition, but particularly in the winter.
Yes.
And we're very excited to be joined by a feminine whose love for food goes far beyond the plate. Okay, her name is Helene Meyer, and she is an independent food consultant, very passionate about home cooking. And she's got a very much acclaimed cookbook as an author. So her work inspires people to basically rediscover the joy of wholesome, flavorful eating. All right, we're here for that. And of course, over the years, her experience has really come through with the development of delicious recipes. She's also worked as a food stylist, and she really is here to affirm that food is good, that food can be wholesome, and encouraging us to really move into the future by really looking at the benefits of home cooking. So we're talking to her this afternoon and really looking at themes around wholesome cooking during the winter, healthy eating, nutrition, all that good stuff, and looking at just some of the stuff that she's curated through her brand over the years as well. Helene, welcome to Channel Africa. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much. That was a fabulous introduction. I was very honored.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. It's always just so good to talk about food, very important. And when we look at just, themes around where our food comes from and all of that, it's always just so beautiful. But we want to get to know you just a little bit. So take us back to the beginning. What sparked your journey into the world of food, and storytelling rather, through recipes?
Thank you. Yeah, I studied many years ago at Stellenbosch University. I did what was then known as home economics, but it's now seen as consumer science, is sort of the general field that I worked in or studied as a student. And then I was very fortunate to work at a magazine in the food department. And through all of that, it really ignited an interest for ingredients and flavor combinations and what works and what doesn't work together, how a cooking method can change one ingredient from butternut just being boiled, but then when you roast it with some cinnamon, you've got a whole new flavor profile just by changing the cooking method. So I really became interested in that. And during that same time, I started to realize that I often suffer from discomfort, bloatedness, headaches regularly, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And eventually, through a lot of inquiries and research and whatever, I met someone that showed me how what I eat really affects how I feel. And I'm talking 25, almost 30 years ago. And it opened up a whole new world to me to be mindful and to understand what happens when I eat certain things. One person can drink a glass of red wine and nothing happens. The next person gets a migraine from it. I need to be careful with other ingredients that my system just doesn't enjoy digesting. And through that, I realized how few people are actually mindful about what they eat or understanding a basic thing like which foods contribute starch to our meals and carbohydrates. And that's also something that feels so basic, but it became a very important aspect of what I do, is to keep people mindful. How much salt do you consume? Which are the healthy fats that you should include? Are you including them, or are you avoiding them just because you hear fat and you think, ooh, they're not good for me? So through the years, that became a very strong focus of what I do, the kind of recipes that I develop. And I love eating. So I love food, and I love playing with ingredients and combinations, as I said in the beginning. So I really enjoy teaching some of that to people to make them feel like a chef in their own kitchen and I hate the word diet. So I never, ever, ever refer to a diet.
Yeah.
It must be a way of life. It must be something that you can do every day. And there's a couple of sort of principles and philosophies that I follow, and I try and share that with people to make it sustainable, because otherwise you think it's just about not allowed this, not allowed that, can't eat this, shouldn't eat that, and it must be a positive experience. For food is a joyful thing in our lives. It can't be a restrictive sort of difficult thing to think about every day.
We are currently in conversation with Helene Meyer, independent food consultant and cookbook author. Her work can be seen, and recipes can be seen on television, on radio. She's absolutely fabulous. And we'll continue the conversation with her to find out what we need to be eating and focusing on, the macronutrients and so on and so forth, for winter, so that we don't shy away from that summer body we are trying to create. Don't go anywhere.
Stella Longwe, Pamalonje.
Palitu soko mapano pamalonje. Kumvera nyimbo za mu Africa kusangalala, kupeza moyo, akuti kumva moyo kuti kuyenda bwino pano pamalonje. Ndiyetu apa tili ndikatswiri oyimba ameneyu ndikatswiri wa dziko la Malawi amene akukhala mdziko la South Africa, ndipo amayimba amene akuti ndi Big Nick Malawi. yatusani kuti kodi moyo wanu woyimba ukuyenda bwanji mu Johannesburg?
Moyo woyimba ukuyenda bwinobwino kwambiri, chilichonse chikutheka ndithu bwinobwino.
Ayi aziwoneka chilichonse chikutheka mofa magrasi anu apa mwaka akuti kumenya yonse aziwoneka zoti azikutheka ndithu mu Johannesburg.
Malonje pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lowiruka ndi Stella Longwe.
Helene, we are currently in winter, and you know the age-old saying, people make the summer bodies during winter, and a lot of that success is contributed and factored in by what we are eating. So this winter period, what ought we be eating? Helene, are you still on the line?
I am.
There we go. I was just asking, this winter, what ought we be eating?
If I have to sum it up, I would say to people, keep it as fresh and as natural and as unprocessed as possible. And when it comes to winter, we all want to eat comfort food and things that make our hearts and our tummies warm, which is very natural and normal for all of us. But making the right choices can really make that difference. So I refer to the concept of understanding which foods contribute starch to our meals and carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And in broad terms, carbohydrates are the starchy foods. I sometimes refer to white food, just to sort of group them very broadly. Pasta, rice, bread, couscous, millipap, corn, that sort of thing. Obviously, a healthy, fresh element like corn on the cob, for instance, is better for you than pasta, which is manufactured and refined and processed. Portion control, I think, is the other thing that a lot of people suffer with, from, because they feel like eating more and more and more, and then they eat more than what the energy is that they actually spend during the day. So what I recommend to people, if you want to eat that nice warm soup or stew, make sure that if you're eating a butternut soup, that you're not eating bread with it. Rather have just a little bit of avocado maybe on the side, which is also in season now, packed with healthy aspects, and eat that with your soup instead of having an ingredient in the soup that adds starch, and then you serve it with something else. Or people want to eat lasagna, but then they want to eat garlic bread with it. So you're actually having two starchy elements opposed to having the lasagna, but maybe rather a green salad with it. Or if you want to make a stew, don't add carrots and potato and sweet potato and butternut. Have one of those and rather add cabbage or cauliflower or spinach or something like that, which adds wonderful color and texture and flavor to the stew, but it's not just more starch. And then if you do decide to have more starch in your stew, maybe not have it on rice, but just as a bowl of delicious food on its own, so that, again, there isn't too much starch in your meal. And a very practical way to explain that visually to people is if you divide your plate into 4 quarters, and whether it's a stew with all the ingredients in it, or whether it's a meal that you have a piece of chicken and a starch and a salad or a green veg, half of your plate should consist of non-starchy vegetables and salad ingredients. In other words, things like cauliflower, broccoli, green beans, spinach, tomato, peppers, mushrooms, those sort of things. A quarter of your plate should be your protein, and the other quarter can be a starch, and preferably a fresh and natural version. For instance, sweet potato or butternut or potato is a natural, fresh form of starch, better than pasta or bread or something that has been manufactured and refined a lot of times for you to be able to prepare it. So if you keep that plate in your mind and you can visualize more or less how much starch is in that meal, then that will definitely make a difference already. The other thing that helps a lot is to make sure that your food is flavorful so that you actually enjoy it and have that sense of satisfaction, but it doesn't need to just come from the carbohydrates on the plate, because that's often the problem, especially in winter.
I love that response, Helene. I think you've literally given us a glimpse into your recipe development secrets, but also plate development, if I could call it that. What the plate should look like to make it joyful and also nutritious at the same time. Your cookbooks are very accessible and inspiring very quickly, like literally in 10 seconds. Where can we find some of your cookbooks to find inspiration and delicious recipes?
There's a lot of recipes on my website, helenemeyer.co.za, and you can order the books on my website as well. So that is relatively easy. I'm also on social media, so I share a lot of recipes and these sort of tips on a regular basis there as well. And I try to be as practical as possible because in the end, everybody is busy. Everybody have a full schedule.
Right.
So if I can make life a little bit easier by helping with planning suppers or having a recipe that's tried and tested and, you can trust it, then that's what I love doing.
All right, that's Helene with the double E-N Meyer. Please look for her on social media and access her website as well if you'd like to gain access to the cookbooks. It's just a little after 13:31. Let's check in with the sports desk.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
A very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Musibu Di Makura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. So Banyana head coach Dr. Desiree Ellis has paid a heartfelt tribute to her players after the spirited run at the 2024 CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament came to an end following a 2-1 semi-final defeat to Nigeria. So despite relinquishing their crown as continental champions, Ellis praised the bravery as well as the resilience of her side, who made it to the clash, who came into the clash battle weary yet undeterred after a grilling 120-minute epic as well as a penalty shootout against Senegal in the quarterfinals. So on Tuesday night, under the floodlights of Casablanca's Labri Zaoule Stadium, South Africa went toe-to-toe with the record-holding Super Falcons but fell just short. Goals from Nigerian captain Rashidat Ajibade as well as Mesha Alozi sealed the win for the West African side, with Linda Motlalo keeping Banyana in the fight with a well-taken penalty. The defeat brought an end to Banyana's impressive 15-match unbeaten run in open play at the WAFCON, every match under the watchful eye as well as the guiding hand of Dr. Desiree Ellis. Now, speaking at the post-match presser, Ellis says failing to finish off their chances let the team down.
And today we almost got over that line. Today we were a team that had less recovery. We travelled and then had match day -1, whereas Nigeria had extra day. Today we were a team that didn't look like we played 120 minutes, so big is up to the conditioning coach there for getting them in the shape that they were. And the way when we moved the ball around, I thought it was pure joy. We had them chasing shadows, and like I say, I don't think we deserved to lose today, but we didn't take our chances.
Now, Banyana utility player Gabriela Salgado was stretched off the pitch following a horrific injury towards the end of the second half. Ellis admits that her players lost concentration after that incident.
But from the players' side, it definitely looked really, really bad because we had to calm them down. We had to make sure that they stay focused, and it was very difficult after that moment. But like I said, once I receive the medical report, we'll know how bad it is.
On to athletics news now. The current world under-20 champion Bayanda Walaza won over the crowd in Rhein-Ruhr, Germany, with his power, speed and showmanship as he blitzed through the 100-meter final to claim gold at the FISU World University Games. As a promise he made after arriving just last weekend on the back of a busy but rewarding running season, he added to the growing tally of medals for Team South Africa at this year's event, with his gold taking the number to 10 and with the relays still to come. So Walaza, following this victory, says he relished being the fastest across his peers at the university level.
Truly, I would say it feels wonderful, to actually have one of these championships in my hand, because I can also say that I'm the fastest in all the universities in the world. So I'll say it's a great honor to be here, and it's a great honor to actually win this. It's actually going to bring my name up, and it's actually going to motivate me to even do more.
Tennis news now. The world number one Yannick Sinner has reappointed fitness coach Umberto Ferrara, with whom he parted ways following the investigation into his positive test for a banned substance. Ferrara, as well as physiotherapist Giacomo Naldi, left the Italians team back in
August of last year, 5 months after he returned 2 positive tests for cluster ball. So according to a statement from Sinner's team, Umberto had played an important role in Yannick Sinner's development to date, and his return reflects a renewed focus on the continuity as well as the performance at the highest level. The decision has been made in alignment with Yannick Sinner's management team as part of the ongoing preparations for the upcoming tournaments, including the Cincinnati Open as well as the US Open. Wimbledon champion Sinner was initially cleared by an independent tribunal of any wrongdoing in August of last year, but the World Anti-Doping Agency WADA appealed against the panel's ruling that he bore no fault or negligence. The 23-year-old ultimately accepted a 3-month ban in February, this after reaching a settlement with WADA. Ferrara says he provided the spray to Naldi for personal use and warned him not to use it on Sinner. After the departures of Ferrara as well as Naldi, Sinner then appointed fitness coach Marco Panecci as well as physiotherapist Ulysses Baduo in September of last year. However, he parted ways with the pair just shortly before he went on to win the Wimbledon title. And finally, Venus Williams, meanwhile, became the second oldest woman to win a WTA Tour level singles match by beating Peyton Stearns at the Washington Open. Now, Williams overcame the world number 35 and fellow American Stearns, who's 22 years her junior, 6-3, 6-4 in the first round. Williams is now the oldest woman to win a singles match on tour since Martina Navratilova at the age of 47 back in 2004. Now, 7-time singles champion winner Williams, who gained entry to the tournament via a wild card, has not played since March of 2024. Williams, who also won 14 Grand Slam singles titles, 14 Grand Slams in the doubles alongside her sister Serena, last won a singles match in August of 2023. Although Williams never said she had retired, she was listed by the WTA as inactive after being out for about 16 months. It's 13:37 p.m. Central African Time. That concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
38 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Let's say good afternoon now to Buntle Headbush with business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Debucho, and a very good afternoon to our listeners. In our top story at this hour, Nigeria's Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's plan for more than $21 billion in foreign borrowing to plug shortfalls in the country's 2025 budget. Senate Chair on Appropriations Solomon Adeola says that this approval now gives them all the sources of revenue they need. Tinubu asked Parliament to approve the borrowing in May. The money is earmarked for infrastructure, healthcare, education, security and housing. Independent South African economist Elise Kruger says inflation remains well under control despite the marginal increase. This, as the latest data released by Stats SA shows that consumer inflation rose from 2.8% in May to 3% in June 2025. The biggest contribution to inflation came from food prices, largely driven by steep beef prices. Kruger says inflation remains at the bottom end of the Reserve Bank's target range, which supports a possible interest rate cut decision at the bank's next meeting.
Core inflation in actual fact dropped
to 2.9% compared to 3% in the previous month. Some pressure was indeed evident still in meat prices. Meat prices increased by 2.2% on a monthly basis and by 6.6% on an annual basis. That was the main reason for food price inflation ticking higher from 4.4% in May to 4.7% in the month of June. But the rest of the basket remained fairly muted. From that point of view, I am still positive that the Reserve Bank could cut interest rates by 25 basis points.
The chairperson of South Africa's Parliament's Standing Committee on Appropriations, Dr. Musi Maimane, has called for the budgetary process to be improved. He was speaking during the debate on the Appropriations Bill in the National Assembly. This bill gives effect to how money is allocated to the different national departments, provinces and local governments in South Africa. The process of tabling the national budget took exceptionally long this year, as it was delayed by unhappiness in the GNU cabinet as well as court challenges. Maimane says, operating in a tight fiscal space, it's crucial that the budgetary cycle runs smoother to benefit South Africans.
Honourable members, especially the members of the executive and the Government of National Unity, I want to urge that going into the next cycle of budget, please let us ensure that we have established our priorities, we are clear where the economic reforms are, we budget accordingly and create plans that can ensure that the budget process is smoother and that the people of South Africa can experience the fullness of participating in their contribution of the appropriation bill.
South Africa's Competition Commission has welcomed the approval of the proposed merger between the French media company Canal Plus and MultiChoice. The Competition Tribunal conditionally approved the over $1.7 billion deal yesterday that could significantly transform the local media landscape. The merger sets the stage for the combined group to take on the likes of global streaming giant Netflix and forms part of the French headquartered firm's expansion in Africa. Spokesperson for the Competition Commission, Siabulela Makunga, says the approval follows their recommendation made in May.
Of note is the commitments by the major parties to ensure that there will be no retrenchments for the period of 3 years post the merger, but also supplier development of over 3 years with focus on expenditure on local content and procurement for SMMEs as well as historically disadvantaged persons.
East Africa's largest telecoms firm, MTN Uganda, plans to split off its fintech unit into a separate entity and aims to list it on the local bourse in 3 to 5 years. The company, which has a mobile subscriber base of about 21 million, is a unit of South Africa's MTN Group and competes mainly with the local unit of India's Bharti Airtel. Tuto Ngobeni reports.
MTN Uganda has received shareholder nod at an extraordinary general meeting held last week for the proposed separation of its mobile money and fintech business. Mobile money is a cell phone-enabled service that allows subscribers to transfer money and make payments for products and services like utility bills, energy purchases, food orders, and ride hails. The platform has grown rapidly in Africa, where it is now widely used. Under the reorganization, MTN Uganda's mobile money fintech business will be transformed into a separate entity majority owned by MTN Group Fintech Holdings BV, the fintech arm of MTN Group.
And now for a look at the indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,529 naira. In Botswana, it's 13.43 Kenya. The dollar is trading at 128 shilling 34, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 3. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 56. Russia is 78 rubles 31. India, it's 86 rupees 32. China 7 yuan 17, and South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 59 cents. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,428 per ounce and platinum at $1,467 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $68.08 a barrel. And those are your business news. I'll be back with more in the next hour. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Buntle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wa zochitika pena paliponse.
unduna wazamalonda kumalawi waletsa kampani yopanga shuga ya ilovo yomwe ndi nthambi ya ilovo sugar group limited kuti isiye kutumiza shuga kumaiko akunja. malingana ndi nduna ya zamalonda vitumbuko mumba, izi zithandiza kuti shuga yemwe yakusowa pamsika azipezeka. ndiye pano ndili ndi George Muhangu amene ali mu mzinda wa Blantyre mu dziko la Malawi. chimene chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndi chani?
chomwe chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndichonena kuti panopo ili ngati off season ya makampani a ilovo sugar Malawi, kunena kuti sakutha kupanga shugayi okwanira chifukwa akukolola. ndiye akamaliza kukolola pameneno atayambeno sopano kugaya shugayi kuti azipezeka. chinanso ndichonena kuti ma distributors amene akumakagula shuga kaya ndi ku ilovo kaya ndi kusalima shuga akumagulisa ku maiko akunja ngati Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Mozambique.
zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
For Mandela, life was about making a difference, not just living. This Mandela Day, Channel Africa honors that legacy.
It is for humanity, or for society, to decide how I should remember. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying.
On Channel Africa.
The African perspective.
The Upside with Tebogo Likuleni and Matseko Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective.
SABC brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Starting 13 July at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time on SABC2. Tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache, and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere. No subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time on SABC2. Be there when history shines. I tell you what, we're going to have a conversation about the impact that beer has on the economy and employment on the African continent and in South Africa, to be specific. Now, it's one of the world's most popular drinks, but beer is more than just a cold one at the end of the day. It's jobs, it's tax revenue, it's a lifeline for communities. A new Oxford economics report reveals that in 2023 alone, South Africa's beer industry contributed over 96 billion rand to the economy, generated 56 billion rand in tax, and supported over 200,000 jobs across the value chain. From farmers to factory workers, distributors to retailers, beer keeps South Africa moving. But as jobs decline despite economic growth, what's really going on in this particular sector? Today, we unpack the numbers, the impact, and the way forward. And I tell you what, Matseko, you are not someone who drinks, right? You don't touch Alcohol.
Well, it's not about me right now.
Just be honest. Do you touch alcohol? Do you drink?
No.
Not even once?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. All right. It's fine. But I tell you what, we need to have a conversation about this with the managing director of Darling Brew. I apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. Is it Teu Ruiz? Teu Ruiz.
TV.
Oh!
Yeah.
Dear V, apologies.
Nearly like television, man.
Yeah. That's exactly where my mind took me.
Dear V, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside. How are you doing on this glorious Wednesday?
No, wonderful. Thank you very much, Tebogo. Good to talk to you.
Talk to us about the impact that beer has on the economy. I mean, it's one thing that we love our beer. Come a weekend where there's rugby, where there's cricket and soccer, we enjoy our beer, we enjoy it after work, but it really has a direct impact on the economy and the jobs in that particular country. Talk to us about the significance of beer, not just from drinking it, of course.
Absolutely. You already quoted some of the figures in terms of employment and the wide impact that it has got on the entire industry. And I can revert back to a small brewery like Darling Brew as well. I mean, we employ more than 60 people permanently, directly in our production lines as well as our restaurant that we have at the brew. So in a small community, we have massive impact in terms of employment that we create and development of people, because Darling is not well known for a developmental center, but we spend a lot of money in developing the people working for us so that they can go further if they choose so. And I think that's one thing that I can say of the entire beer industry in South Africa, coming from one of the big corporates myself, is that the industry really invests in developing their people and very progressive in developing people.
I want to unpack a little bit around the numbers, because the study that we are discussing here also indicates that almost R1 billion, or 100 billion rand actually, goes towards or contributes towards the GDP, and this was noted in the year 2023. So can you actually break down which parts of the value chain are driving this type of growth?
If you look at that, I would say that's mainly excise driven that they quote there. And that's really a very concerning factor for us in the industry. There is a publication in Network 24 that just recently surfaced here in South Africa, where they quote that 1 in 5 products on the shelves are illicit products. With other words, people that are not paying their excises, people that are not running through the official channels. And that's very, very concerning. If you consider 20% of products on the market do not pay excise, you can understand what the massive impact is in terms of revenue for the government. And critical for us as well, because as a small people who are paying our excises are every year seeing increases in excise charges. And it makes us very uncompetitive in the market, where we have to play in a market where there are such a big and vast people which they not pay excise and that are not taken to task in terms of that. Lack of enforcement, in my opinion, is a big problem in our country every year, getting massive excise increases and not really looking at the easy pickings, which is getting to the people that are not paying excise and getting them to pay excise.
DV, let's talk then about the impact that has on you directly as a small brewery. Does this then impact how you employ, the number of people you can employ? Does it mean that you can't grow further because you have to pay so much excise taxes where other bigger breweries do not? How does this then impact your ability to employ more, create more opportunities for the people on the ground?
It's actually a big impact, and it's a snowball effect, because South Africa is renowned for having the cheapest beer in the world. So there's no margins in the industry, or very little margins, unless you have got the economy of scale to your operation. So if you consider that 25% to 30% of your shelf price that you see are actually excise, that's going directly to excise. It depends on the alcohol content at the end of the day, what the exact amount is. Sometimes it's more than that. And if somebody else can compete having that 30% to play with, where we don't have that as margins in our process, it means that you cannot grow, you cannot expand like you should. You cannot employ like you should, because you have to cut your business absolutely to bare bones to just try and survive in a very, very competitive market where there's no margins in beer, or very low margins in beer.
As we understand it, Tivia, at the moment, it looks like, there's huge financial gains, but let's be honest, declining jobs are a problem. Declining jobs are a problem in the sector as we see it now. Is there anything that is being done currently as you and I speak to reverse this?
From a, can I say, macroeconomical environment, no.
Yes.
At this stage, unfortunately, it seems like the strategy from a macroeconomical environment is to milk from those that pay as much as you can get and not incentivize, for instance, growth and growth opportunities. If you reduce excise, but you rather incentivize the industry to train and to develop people, to skill people up so that people can fish and don't be fed fish the whole time, then you're really developing the economy for everybody. But in draining the cow that's giving, at the end of the day, you're milking them to death. And the people are cutting back because that's the only way that they can survive. If we look at statistics and figures quoted, if I'm not mistaken, one of the big corporates last year had a negative growth of 10%. Another one of the major corporates in South Africa in the beer industry had a loss of 1.5 billion rands. That's not sustainable for any industry. And if you consider those magnitude of figures that we're quoting here, you can imagine what is the impact on the smaller players like ourselves. If the big corporates even have struggles like that currently in our environment in which we operate.
DV, what do government officials and shall we say policy makers then have to take into account to ensure that that is not the case, that the small brewers are not run to the ground? What policy changes need to be brought forth to ensure that the economy, the industry thrives for both small and big?
I do believe that we need to contribute towards the coffers of the countries to ensure that the country runs effectively. But I believe that we need to give the smaller guys opportunity to grow, because if you consider the turnover of a small business like ourselves and the amount of people that we employ, the employment ratio versus the turnover is much higher for the smaller businesses than bigger businesses. So rather incentivize the smaller businesses to be prospering and growing, because you will see bigger employment gains by incentivizing smaller businesses to train, to employ, and reducing excises for us so that we can grow bigger and have perhaps a sliding scale based on volume. That is one option that you can have in terms of excises. The other thing is, if you want to keep a standard excise rate to uncomplicate the government system, is to incentivize businesses in terms of your employment ratio and your training that you do, training and development that you do in the business, and give them stronger emphasis in that to really skill people up. If we consider, for instance, one of the biggest challenges that we see in the market currently is unemployed graduates, for instance. Biggest unemployment youth in the world sits in South Africa. If we can rather incentivize children to go and study and have a bursary which is linked to employment, with other words, he gets a bursary which is based on merit, and that ensures that he gets in-job training for the next 2 or 3 years to work back the bursary. It's not just a given, but he actually goes and work the bursary back, but in the same time he gains experience. That's a very good incentive to drive and the way that we will ensure that people are, can I say, employment ready by the time when they finish their study dates, for instance.
Wonderful.
Big driver, in my opinion.
Yeah. Thank you very much. TV Ruiz, Managing Director at Darling Brew, and we certainly learned a lot in this short segment around just understanding the beer industry and its role in the economy, as it were. Thank you, TV. I wanted to make a little joke and say thank you for raising the bar. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Monseko. Please try my products. They're also very, very good.
Okay.
We're very proud of Darling Brew, and thanks for the opportunity of actually sharing my passion as well for developing people and ensuring that we leave our environment better than what we found it. Yeah.
Oh, very important to factor that in as well. Thank you very much, TV Ruiz, joining us in his capacity as Managing Director, I beg your pardon, at Darling Brew. Let's check in with the news bulletin. It is 2 on the dot. Onelen Zinzi has the latest in news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Matseko. Looking at your top stories, SADC holds the 27th ordinary meeting of the Ministerial Committee of the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation. And the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza has reached new levels. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The Southern African Development Community is holding the 27th ordinary meeting of the Ministerial Committee of the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. The meeting is focusing on issues aimed at promoting peace and security in the region. Daniel Kijo reports.
Speaking at the SADC Ministerial Committee meeting in Tanzania's commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation, Ambassador Samuel Shelukindo, said the region must not be complacent despite overall stability. He called for stronger collaboration among member states to tackle the conflict in eastern DRC, which continues to displace civilians and destabilize regional peace efforts. Shelukindo also warned of a surge in transnational crimes, including arms smuggling, human trafficking, and cybercrime, urging coordinated intelligence sharing and reinforcement strategy.
Political analyst Than Chang Paul says more than 80 candidates submitting applications to contest Cameroon's presidential elections shows the vitality of the democracy in that country. Amongst them is the country's 92-year-old incumbent Paul Biya, who has been in power for more than 4 decades. The list includes familiar opposition names like Maurice Kamto and Joshua Osei, but also former Biya loyalists, women, and 26 independent candidates. The elections are set for the 12th of October. Paul elaborates.
Vitality here comes in the sense that many aspirants feel comfortable enough to be able to trust the autonomous body that organizes the elections. Now, the bone of contention here being the electoral code, because many political parties, including the regime political party, have a contention with the electoral code. Now, the organizing body, which is Elections Cameroon, that organizes the election, now just follows strictly the electoral code. So, in my opinion, it shows the vitality of it. It also gives credibility to the organizing body. But now it's left to be able to confirm with the electoral code by the Electoral Commission.
Mozambique's highest electoral authority, the Constitutional Council, has refused to order a recount of last October's disputed general elections, but have rather formally charged the opposition leader Venancio Mondlane with incitement to terrorism, escalating political tension in the country. Mondlane has positioned himself as a defiant voice against the ruling Frelimo party, leading mass protests and calling for systematic reform. Mondlane, who emerged as a prominent challenger to President Daniel Chapo, faces 5 criminal charges, including public apology for crime, incitement to collective disobedience, and public instigation to crime. The director of the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga, reports.
These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle. This is clearly looked at as a weaponization of the law to prevent him from standing in the next electoral cycle.
A parliamentary ad hoc committee in South Africa should probe the allegations by the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The recommendation was made following a joint sitting by Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police and the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Constitutional Development yesterday. The adopted report by the Joint Committee will be tabled in the National Assembly today. The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron, outlined some of Mkhwanazi's allegations that they want the ad hoc committee to look into.
There are a few recommendations. One is allegation regarding Minister Ntunu's decision and instruction to disband the political killing task team, and then also the alleged unlawful removal of the 121 case dockets from that task team on the direction of the Deputy National Commissioner General Shadrach Sibia, and then the moratorium on filling vacancies within the Crime Intelligence Unit or division. Also, a big question is whether the minister misled Parliament about the nature of his relationship with Mr. Brown Mogotsi.
Lastly, the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza has reached new levels of desperation as over 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli gunfire while trying to access food. Despite international pleas and aid efforts, civilians continue to face lethal force. Project coordinator in Gaza for Doctors Without Borders, Caroline Willman, explains.
The impact of the ground invasion in Deir el-Bala has been devastating for my colleagues, for the work that we can do. There is a warehouse of the World Health Organization that has been attacked and in all likelihood will be completely lost. They deliver medical supplies and medication to any Ministry of Health facility in the Gaza Strip, knowing how much all of these facilities were already under pressure. It is just devastating to know that now they will have even less access to supplies.
Recapping on your top stories, the Southern African Development Community is holding the 27th ordinary meeting of the Ministerial Committee of Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Welcome to the golden hour of our programming here as we talk all things lifestyle and opinion. This is the Upside with Tebogo and Matsako in your company until 4 p.m. in Central African time. How does that sound? Hope it sounds good to you. Thank you very much for joining us. We're 9 minutes into the hour, into 2 p.m. Central African time. Thank you for tuning in wherever you're listening in from. And we have a drum roll that's coming through because Tebogo is going to tell us what's coming up in this hour.
The whole drum roll, the drama is not needed, but there will be a very, very exciting conversation in this the first half of the hour we get into conversation about the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, set to return in 2025 with renewed backing from brand South Africa. We'll be getting into conversation to further unpack this amazing collaboration. It's now going to be the third consecutive year of this partnership. We'll be getting into conversation with Miller Matola, Chief Executive Officer of Milvest Advisory and convener of the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, or TIFA. What an exciting conversation that will be, because it's not just a collaboration between TIFA, Brand South Africa, it's also a collaboration with Channel Africa. We are also there in the mix there. That's how we roll. This is how we roll. You know what it is?
Isn't it just?
That's how we roll. And then later on, we've got what caught your eye. You know exactly what would have caught my eye. I don't think there's any doubt. We are going to talk about Ukeni Kunen. That's what caught my eye. And if you want to weigh in on that conversation, +27 63 406 9126. Alternatively, check us out on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. It's 10 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the golden hour of the Upside.
África. Conhece o Ntivani? Claro que sou eu. Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma. Eu amo música africana. Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa. Okay. Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invitée du jour, la belle Aïna Mwenze. Elle est là, certaines l'appellent Boss Lady.
Bonjour Monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aïna. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business, comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me dis, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
The African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African time.
Hey guys, Debukhole Kuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion, most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Debukhole Kuleni, and we are very happy to be here, so join us. Hello there, my name is Matsako Musito and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are on the African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African time.
Hey guys, Tebohole Kuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African Time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion. Most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Tebohole Kuleni, and we are very happy to be here. So join us. Hello there, my name is Matsheko Musito, and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are in the African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African Time.
Hey guys, Tebohole Kuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African Time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion. Most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Tebohole Kuleni, and we are very happy to be here. So join us. Hello there, my name is Matsheko Musito, and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are in the African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African Time.
Hey guys, Tebohole Kuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African Time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion. Most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Tebohole Kuleni, and we are very happy to be here. So join us.
I was hurt. Mahu featuring Deep Sen, King Toxin, and Mtunzi. Beautiful music coming to you on the Upside this afternoon on Channel Africa, the African Perspective, with Tebohole Kuleni and Matsheko Musito. It is the golden hour of the Upside, as Matsheko says it. I'm going to use that now going forward. I love that, the golden hour.
Of course you love it.
Why is it called the golden hour?
When I was training in journalism at Boston Media House, and we were learning, because I studied radio. See, this is not an accident. I studied it. So when we were in our third year of doing radio before we started sound engineering, my lecturer, Ruan Venter, used to call the middle hour of radio the golden hour.
Okay.
So that's just stuck with me. So
he didn't explain why.
Kind of what was the rationale behind the golden hour? Like there's a lot of really interesting things that happen. The most interesting things happen in the middle hour of any radio show.
Ooh,
so then it's
interesting.
So then it's golden. It's a golden hour. So I mean, traditionally it was a golden hour when radio was still very much based on theatre of the mind. There was nothing visual to go on. Yeah. You know, you literally needed to sell it just from what people are hearing, sell that experience. And a lot of things used to happen in the center hour of a 3-hour radio show.
I'll tell you how this also applies in sport, but I'll share that a bit later. Let's tell our lovely listeners about a fantastic collaboration between the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, TIFA, and Brand South Africa. How exciting is that? And also we are involved as well. We complete the triangle there as Channel Africa.
Absolutely, we do. And we're very excited to talk about the Tourism Investment Forum Africa. They are set to return this year with renewed backing from Brand South Africa, as Deborah has mentioned, marking the third consecutive year of partnership between the two entities. with Channel Africa, which makes it 3 entities. So the continued support signals a shared commitment to placing South Africa and the wider continent firmly on the map as a competitive and attractive space for tourism investment. So this year's edition, as we understand it, of the forum will be held in the city of Umhlatuzi in the KwaZulu-Natal province of South Africa, a growing hub with expanding infrastructure and untapped potential for tourism-led growth. So with that said, we would like to unpack this conversation. We're joined on the line by Miller Matola, who is Chief Executive Officer of Millvest Advisory and convener of the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, or TIFA, as it's known. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to Channel Africa. Okay, we're still going to get the guest on the line, okay? We are waiting to get Miller Matola in their capacity as Chief Executive Officer of Millvest Advisory and convener of the Tourism Investment Forum Africa. We'll be right back.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126. And we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk. It's your chance to air your views. Share your opinion. Engage with a community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
In recent weeks, East Africa has seen a disturbing rise in human rights violations. In Kenya, digital activist Rose Njeri was arrested under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act after creating a tool for citizens to oppose the Finance Bill 2025. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan lawyer Agatha Atuhaire reported being detained, tortured, and sexually assaulted by security officers.
East Africa needs a reset. We need to get back East Africa to where the founding fathers are. You know, when President Nyerere and his colleagues, Jomo Kenyatta and the Ugandan counterparts fought for independence, they fought for independence to get Africans out of poverty, to get Africans out of slavery. The leaders who took up power have since gotten into regression.
Neto Agostino, co-leader of the United Green Movement Party.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender-based violence GBV zikuwononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete, koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhuzidwa, funani chithandizo. Chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, kukhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invité du jour, la belle Aina Mwenze. Elle est là, certaines l'appellent Boss Lady.
Bonjour Monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aina. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business. Comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me dis, bon, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Your afternoons just got even better. Fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
It is 24 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. We get into conversation with Miller Matola, CEO of Milvest Advisory, the conveners of the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, about the, shall we call it, the renewal of a strategic partnership with Brand South Africa. Miller, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside. Hi, Miller, can you hear us? Are you on the line? I think we have a technical glitch there. Good afternoon, Miller. Can you hear us? Hello, Miller. Welcome to The Upside. Thank you for your time. All right. I think we're still working on getting him on the line there. It's quite a significant moment, isn't it? Brand South Africa renewing its strategic alliance with the Tourism Investment Forum Africa. This will be taking place in August this year in KZN, positioning South Africa and the broader continent as an ideal investment destination. I would like to think that we've always been, as Africa, as a South Africa. Think other countries around the world, other continents, they consistently have been wanting to invest in Africa. And I think right now is prime.
Right now is the time. There's so many unexplored places. It's almost like you can't talk about tourism and investment separately nowadays. It really is not in each soul separately, and that's why this conversation is so significant today.
Absolutely. Miller, do we have you on the line?
Hi, good day.
Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you doing?
Well, we're keeping well. Yourself?
We can't complain. We're just going to ask you to please either not put us on loudspeaker because that's feedback.
Is there echo?
It is a massive echo, yes. All right, let's try again. Let's talk about this Brand South Africa and TIFA strategic alliance. The significance of it, Miller, for those who are hearing it for the very first time. Yes, the role is to ensure that South Africa is positioned as an ideal investment opportunity and prime location. But let's talk about the significance of this renewal of strategic alliance with Brand South Africa with the Tourism Investment Forum Africa.
Yeah, thank you very much. Look, I think for us, this is really, once again, an endorsement of the importance of not only investment generally, but also tourism investment as far as economic growth is concerned for South Africa. And therefore, we really welcome the support received again from Brand SA. As you might know, they've been partners over the past 3 years, this being the third year.
Yeah.
And we value that support indeed.
Let's talk about which tourism sectors are showing the strongest investment appetite as you and I speak.
Yeah, look, essentially, if you look at the sectors within the tourism industry, you have your accommodation sector, you have your amusement parks and theme parks, and then you have generally other sectors such as gaming, etc. But what is seeing the biggest interest, of course, is the area around hospitality, which is the accommodation sector. But a big sector that's also coming up is the tech sector, which is the technology sector. And in this respect, You are seeing a lot of interest there as far as not just the travel technologies are concerned, which facilitate bookings, distribution of products, but also fintech products which facilitate now payment solutions for the travel and tourism industry. So we're seeing a lot of interest and investment in those areas. So I would say in the same way as you're seeing kind of interest in the bricks and mortar sector, you are seeing more and more interest in non-bricks and mortar sectors like technology.
Well, what an exciting collaboration this is, a strategic alliance. You said it, it's now in its third year, and I would love for us to continue the conversation. Miller, we're still going to get our sports news and then our business update, but after that, I would love for us to continue the conversation to talk about the impact that it's going to have, the forum itself, on the ground at grassroots for the people of KwaZulu-Natal, where it will be hosted, and then South Africa at large. And so we'll continue that conversation with Mila Matola, the CEO of Milvest Advisory, the conveners of the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, with a renewed strategic alliance with Brand SA. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue that conversation. For now, let's get the latest in sports news with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. Good afternoon once again from the Sports Desk. Now, Spain are determined to end a miserable past record against Germany when the two sides meet in the last four of the Women's Euros later on tonight, with midfield star, that is Alexia Putellas, setting her sights now on more history for the women's, for the World Cup holders. So having won the World Cup in 2023 with Spain, Spain are now looking to add a first European Championship title and also confirm their status as a dominant side in international women's football. Now, while Spain has never been European champions, Germany have a record 8 continental crowns and were the leading force in the women's game in the first decade of the century. Now, Spain has never beaten Germany, notably losing when the teams met in the group stages of the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup, as well as the last Euros in 2022. We'll stay with women's football news. Banyana head coach Dr. Desiree Ellis has paid a heartfelt tribute to her players after their spirited run at the 2024 CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament, following a 2-1 semi-final defeat to Nigeria. Despite relinquishing their crown as continental champions, Ellis praised the bravery as well as the resilience of her side, who came into this clash battle-weary yet undeterred after a grilling 120-minute epic and a penalty shootout win against Senegal in the quarterfinals. So on Tuesday night, under the floodlights of Casablanca's Labri Zaule Stadium, South Africa went toe-to-toe with the record holders, the Super Falcons, but fell short in the process. Goals from Nigerian captain Rashidat Ajebade as well as Meshal Alozi sealed the win for the West Africans, with Linda Motlalo keeping Banyana in the fight with a well-taken penalty in the second half. Now, the defeat brought an end to Banyana's impressive 15-match unbeaten run in the Open era at WAFCON, every match under the watchful eye as well as the guiding hand of Ellis. Speaking at the post-match presser, Ellis says failing to finish off their chances cost them that match.
And today we almost got over that line. Today we were a team that had less recovery. We travelled and then had a match day -1, whereas Nigeria had an extra day. Today we were a team that didn't look like we played 120 minutes, so big is up to the conditioning coach there for getting them in the shape that they were. And the way when we moved the ball around, I thought it was pure joy. We had them chasing shadows, and like I say, I don't think we deserved to lose today, but we didn't take our chances.
On to athletics news now. The current world under-20 champion Bayanda Walaza won over the crowd in Rhein-Ruhr, Germany, with his power, speed and showmanship as he blitzed through the 100-meter final to claim gold at the FISU World University Games. It's a promise he made after arriving just last weekend on the back of a busy but rewarding running season. He added to the growing tally of medals for Team South Africa at this year's event, with his gold taking the number to 10 medals, with the relays still to come. Walaza, following his victory, says he relished being the fastest across his peers at the university level.
Truly, I would say it feels wonderful, to actually have one of these championships in my hand, because I can also say that I'm the fastest in all the universities in the world. So I'll say it's a great honor to be here, and it's a great honor to actually win this. It's actually going to bring my name up, and it's actually going to motivate me to even do more.
Onto this now, the world number one Yannick Sinner has reappointed fitness coach Umberto Ferrara, with whom he parted ways following the investigation into his positive test for a banned substance. Now, Ferrara, as well as physiotherapist Giacomo Naldi, left the Italian team in August of 2024, 5 months after he returned 2 positive tests for cluster ball. According to a statement from Sinner's team, Umberto has played an important role in Yannick Sinner's development to date, and his return reflects a renewed focus on the continuity as well as the performance at the highest level. The decision has been made in alignment with Yannick Sinner's management team as part of the ongoing preparations for the upcoming tournaments, including the Cincinnati Open as well as the US Open. Wimbledon champion Sinner was initially cleared of any wrongdoing by the independent tribunal just last August, but the World Anti-Doping Agency WADA appealed against the panel's ruling that he bore no fault or negligence. The 23-year-old ultimately accepted the 3-month ban in February of this year after reaching a settlement with WADA. Ferrara says he provided the spray to Naldi for personal use and warned him not to use it on Sinner. After the departures of Ferrara as well as Naldi, Sinner appointed fitness coach Marco Panecci as well as physiotherapist Ules Badio in September of last year. However, he parted ways with the pair shortly before this year's Wimbledon title. Still on tennis news, the great Venus Williams became the second oldest woman to win a WTA Tour level singles match by beating Peyton Stearns at the Washington, D.C. Open. Now, Williams overcame the world number 35 and fellow American Stearns, who is 22 years her junior, 6-3, 6-4 in the first round of this year's tournament. Now, Williams is the oldest woman to win a singles match on tour since Martina Navratilova at the age of 47 back in 2004. Now, 7-time singles Grand Slam winner Williams, who gained entry to this year's tournament via a wild card, has not played since March of 2024. Williams, who won 14 Grand Slams in the doubles alongside her sister Serena, last won a singles match in August of 2023. Although Williams never said she retired, she was listed by the WTA as inactive after 16 months out. It concludes your sports news this hour. I'm back with the final sports update on the upside in the third and final hour of the show. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibu Di Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. 9 to 12 midday Central African Time. On the Move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushata.
Should influencers be expected to be impactful in society? If there is a social or societal conversation that goes up, should we be waiting eagerly to hear what the influencers have to say?
They are more than just entertainers. They are thought leaders to some certain degree. They influence culture. They influence people's thought processes. They set trends. They shape opinions of people. And the sad reality is, although a lot of them don't want to accept it, I think we're getting better with them realizing that they're embarking in that journey, and in that space comes with a certain level of responsibility.
I see it differently in that, professionals are already good at their job, but there is an optionality that they might have to use the position that they hold in society to be able to deliver a message. This year you made the example of actors and actresses. So the same could apply to a sportsman. Just because someone's good at soccer doesn't mean that they have to have an influence over society from a specific standpoint.
Keeping you on the know and on the move.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa.
Okay.
Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
39 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time, Buntle Headbosch is standing by with business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Debucho. Good afternoon. And our top business story at this hour, Nigeria's Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's plan for more than $21 billion in foreign borrowing to plug shortfalls in the country's 2025 budget. Senate Chair on Appropriations, Solomon Adeola, says that this approval now gives them all the sources of revenue they need. Tinubu asked Parliament to approve the borrowing in May. The money is earmarked for infrastructure, healthcare, education, security, and housing. South Africa's JSE's All-Share Index has hit a new record, surpassing the 100,000 mark. The stock exchange's All-Share Index consists of 99% of the country's largest listed companies across all sectors. The rally on the JSE is in line with the higher global markets following the US and Japan trade deal. The local markets have also been cheering the appropriations bill vote expected in Parliament today. Chief Investment Officer at MP9 Asset Management, Ahish Singh, elaborates.
The JSE has just crossed 100,000 points for the first time in its history. What's driving this is a mix of strong commodity tailwinds and renewed local confidence. Mining stocks are leading the charge, with the precious metals and mining index doubling since December, with gold up 40% year-on-year and platinum also rallying. South Africa's reputation as a commodity-heavy market means global investors allocate here when metals run, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
South Africa's Director General of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Mlungisi Cele, and CSIR CEO, Dr. Thulani Dlamini, will today host a delegation led by Germany's Minister Reem Alabali Radovan at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in the capital, Pretoria. The visit aims to strengthen collaboration on health innovation between the two countries. South Africa and Germany share a strategic partnership focused on building biomanufacturing skills and boosting local vaccine production in response to the health challenges exposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Michael Mbewe reports.
Support from partners like the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, the Germany Agency for International Cooperation, KfW, a development bank owned by the German government, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is crucial for advancing local health innovation and biomanufacturing and to meet the African Union's goal for local vaccine production that 60% of local needs be met locally by 2040. Dr. Cele will share South Africa's vision for advancing local health technologies, fostering South-to-South partnerships and leveraging Germany cooperation to accelerate the continent's journey towards self-reliance in vaccine manufacturing.
South Africa's Competition Commission has welcomed the approval of the proposed merger between the French media company Canal Plus and MultiChoice. The Competition Tribunal conditionally approved the over $1.7 billion deal yesterday that could significantly transform the local media landscape. The merger sets the stage for the combined group to take on the likes of global streaming giant Netflix and forms part of the French headquartered firm's expansion in Africa. Spokesperson for the Competition Commission, Siabulela Makunga, says the approval follows a recommendation made in May.
Of note is the commitments by the major parties to ensure that there will be no retrenchments for the period of 3 years post the merger, but also supplier development of over 3 years with focus on expenditure on local content and procurement for SMMEs as well as historically disadvantaged persons.
US President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba have struck a trade deal that will include a 15% tariff on US imports from Japan. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said the deal would include $550 billion of Japanese investments in the United States and improved market access into Japan for American goods, including automobiles, rice, and other agricultural products. Japanese autos, which account for more than a quarter of all the country's exports to the U.S., will also be subject to a 15% tariff, down from a punishing 27.5%. The U.S. has also agreed not to impose any caps on auto imports. Steel and aluminium, which are subject to a separate 50% tariff, were not included in the deal. And now for a look at the financial indicators at this hour. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,529 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 43. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 34, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha and 3. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 56, Russia 78 rubles 31, India it's 86 rupees 32, China 7 yuan 17, and South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand and 59 cents, much stronger today. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,428 and platinum at $1,467 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $68.08 a barrel. And those are your business news. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Buntle Hetbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Zochitika ndimadaphiri kamlondola wazochitika pena paliponse.
Unduna wazamalonda kumalawi waletsa kampani yopanga shuga ya Ilovo yomwe ndi nthambi ya Ilovo Sugar Group Limited kuti isiye kutumiza shuga kumaiko akunja. Malingana ndi nduna ya zamalonda Vitumbuko Mumba, izi zithandiza kuti shuga yemwe yakusowa pamsika azipezeka. Ndiye pano ndili ndi George Muhangu amene ali mu mzinda wa Blantyre mu dziko la Malawi. Chimene chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndi chani?
Chomwe chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndichonena kuti panopo ili ngati off season ya makampani a Ilovo Sugar Malawi, kunena kuti sakutha kupanga shugayi okwanira chifukwa akukolola. Ndiye akamaliza kukolola pameneno atayambeno somano kugaya shugayi kuti azipezeka. Chinanso ndichonena kuti ma distributors amene akumakagula shuga kaya ndi ku Ilovo kaya ndi kusalima shuga akumagulisa kumaiko akunja ngati Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Mozambique.
Zochitika ndimadaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
The Upside, live and real.
It is 46 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. We get back into our conversation with Mila Matola, CEO of Milvest Advisory and convener of the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, about the renewed strategic alliance between Brand South Africa and the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, or TIFA. Miller, let's get back into our conversation and perhaps further unpack for us what the theme is this year for the forum, and what conversations will be spearheaded to ensure that South Africa continues being the hub or an investment epicenter, if you will.
Thank you very much. The theme essentially this year revolves around enhancing community upliftment through tourism investment. And in that respect, we focus on infrastructure, but also other related sectors and services that contribute towards the development of tourism. So essentially, it's really around the theme hones in on upliftment of communities through tourism, ensuring inclusive economic growth through tourism.
I think it's really exciting, Miller, what we are seeing in terms of just the oneness of of tourism sectors. You know, we're not really seeing it just in one region. There's so many regions sort of pouring into each other, if I could put it that way. So let's talk about regional economic blocks. You know, what role do the regional economic blocks play in scaling cross-border tourism corridors?
Yeah, look, I think the continent being so big requires obviously regional cooperation, whether you're looking at the West African community or development, or you're looking at East Africa. But I think what's increasingly taking precedence is now the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which almost brings all the African countries into one single block, creating a significant market. And I think that is what will really drive tourism as well as trade and investment across the continent. We know most of the countries have now ratified the protocols on the CFTA, and we know that there's increasing movement in each of the countries now to start trading under those protocols. And tourism is trade in services, and I believe that this is going to significantly enhance not just the trade side of tourism, but also the investment side of tourism.
Let's take a quick breather. It is now almost 10 minutes to 3 p.m. Central African time, and we'll continue our conversation with Mila Matola, CEO of Milvest Advisory and convener of the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, or TIFA.
Across the globe, every second, there's always a breaking story.
What we want to achieve is a healthy and vibrant economy which can ensure full employment to our people.
The government concurs with the views of the Black Economic Empowerment Council report that it is now necessary to make our policies on Black economic empowerment more explicit.
Last May, I asked constituencies at NEDLEC to discuss youth employment incentives. I'm pleased that discussions have been concluded and that agreement has been reached on key principles.
We are on an ambitious drive to industrialize, to attract investment, and to create more jobs for the youth of our country. They don't have jobs.
I've tried looking for a job for a year and a half now. The challenges were experience and the level of education which I have.
Channel Africa.
The Upside, taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
It is 9 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's continue our conversation with Mila Matola, CEO of Milvest Advisory and convener of the Tourism Investment Forum Africa. Mila, we understand that the city of Umhlatuze has been chosen this year to host the 2025 edition of the TIFA, the Expo. Why was this city chosen for this year's Expo?
The city of Umhlatuze, Richards Bay and that region were chosen largely because of some of the investment projects that are planned for the area. And as you know, the Tourism Investment Forum actually aims to profile and promote secondary as well as tertiary cities.
Yeah.
So rather than focus on the major centers of Durban, Cape Town, and Johannesburg, our intent strategically is to then focus on those cities that are usually not lesser known or lesser visited or are not usually considered as top of mind. And so that is the reason why we did. But largely also because of the projects that they have there, you would know that there is the Richards Bay Industrial Development Zone in that area, which is aiming to attract significant investment across various sectors. But what is important is that those sectors will have an impact on tourism in terms of real estate development, the need to develop and enhance hospitality sectors, whether you're talking about restaurants or you're talking about hotels. It will have that ripple effect. And because of that, then you find extensions in terms of tourism development products that are coming up in Richards Bay, hotel developments, mixed-use residential estate, the development of the waterfront, and as well as the plans to build an international convention center. So for us, these projects presented, I think, an attractive opportunity to then profile and promote the city for investment purposes.
All right. So, I'm thinking, you've made some fun examples, actually, and I wanted to extend on those because investment possibilities is such a broad, umbrella term. tourism affects so many other industries, as you've mentioned some of them, but also, infrastructure, is affected, agriculture, the automobile sector, but particularly in this community, KwaZulu. Talk to us about the forum as we see it, the Tourism Investment Forum for 2025, and how the outcomes of this gathering is going to influence and impact investment in the examples that we've just made.
Great. So we look at it in terms of the short, medium, and long-term impacts. And I think for us, the immediate short-term impact is that by bringing the forum to that region or that part of the province, we immediately enlist the services of suppliers in the value chain, right? These are suppliers, whether of transportation, of videography services, of printing, all that work that will be done there, we do it in the region or in that area. But we'll also be bringing in SMEs who can showcase their products and services, but who may also be in need of access to capital. And so we'll have partners in the banking space, like your ABSA, as well as NetBank, who will be there to share, obviously, opportunities around trade financing, as well as payment solutions, all issues that are critical for SMEs. And then lastly, we also have a zone that will have, we call the Sustainability Village or Zone, where we bring in the crafters and all the people from the local areas to showcase and sell their wares, be it whether things such as the leatherware or whatever it is that the local community produces there, we bring that for them to be able to showcase and to sell, and obviously probably develop the business opportunities in that forum. In the long term, the objective is obviously to draw and attract investors into the projects that I have mentioned that will be promoted at the forum, whether they are across real estate or they are in the hotel sector, transportation. There are plans, for instance, to move the current airport from where it is to a much more optimal location. So you will obviously have airport development companies that may be interested in that particular opportunity. So those are some of the long-term impacts of the forum, but I've sketched for you the kind of short to medium-term ones as well.
Yeah.
And Miller, how important is it to get investment from local businesses, African-based businesses, not just internationals feeding into the economy, which is great, fantastic, but also locals, local entrepreneurs, local corporations looking to grow the tourism sector of South Africa and Africa, but also inspire tourism within the continent itself for the locals. How important is that for you?
Well, it is very important for especially the TIFA. And that is why, we call it the Tourism Investment Forum Africa, in the sense that we believe that there is a lot of capital in the continent. And especially now that the continent is opening up for cross-border trade, for cross-border investment, there's a lot of opportunity for capital to move across borders and be plowed into projects that will uplift communities. And I think that is the ethos of the TIFA. So to your question, I think it is very, very important. And the focus for us is local in terms of domestically in South Africa, but also across the continent, because we believe investors are not only overseas investors, but there are a lot of local companies here in South Africa that can invest and are keen to invest in some of the projects that we promoted at the forum.
Well, this is very inspiring. As I'm listening to you speak about, I think particularly the investment part of things and how inclusive tourism is becoming year on year. I think the third edition of the Tourism Investment Forum is going to return with a bang. And we wish you all the best. We're very excited to be involved as Channel Africa, and best wishes for the desired outcome, I think, for those that are all involved, particularly, whether they're at the bottom or the top of the food chain. We're all very excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much once again for helping to spread the message across the continent.
And Miller, just as a parting shot, give us the dates for this expo, and then how can people get involved?
Great. So the dates for the Tourism Investment Forum Africa are the 27th to the 29th of August 2025. On the first day, the 27th, we'll have site visits to, amongst others, sites such as the Richards Bay Industrial Zone, but also the sites such as the waterfront, which the city would like to develop, as well as sites for some of the real estate developments under contemplation. And the conference runs over the 28th and the 29th as a full forum with panel discussions, showcases of investment projects, as well as expert speakers.
Miller, well, we can't wait to be there as Channel Africa, and we can't wait for the whole African continent, especially those who are interested in the growth and the development of Africa, to be a part of this exciting forum. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon on The Upside.
Thank you very much for the time. Thank you.
The voice there of Miller Matola, CEO of Milvest Advisory and convener of the Tourism Investment Forum Africa. It will be taking place from the 27th to the 29th of August. That is the TIFA 2025. Africa, your time to shine is now. It is now, it is now, it is now. Let's head on over now to Onele Nsinsi, who has the latest in news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, SADC holds the 27th ordinary meeting of the Ministerial Committee of the Organ and Politics and the ICJ to make a historic ruling on the member states' responsibility in combating the scourge of climate change. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The Southern African Development Community is holding the 27th ordinary meeting of the Ministerial Committee on the Organ and Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. The meeting is focusing on issues aimed at promoting peace and security in the region. Daniel Kijo reports.
Speaking at the SADC Ministerial Committee meeting in Tanzania's commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation, Ambassador Samuel Shelukindo, said the region must not be complacent despite overall stability. He called for stronger collaboration among member states to tackle the conflict in eastern DRC, which continues to displace civilians and destabilize regional peace efforts. Shelukindo also warned of a surge in transnational crimes, including arms smuggling, human trafficking, and cybercrime, urging coordinated intelligence sharing and reinforcement strategy.
Mozambique's highest electoral authority, the Constitutional Council, has refused to order a recount of last October's disputed general elections, but has rather formally charged the opposition leader, Venancio Mondlane, with incitement to terrorism, escalating political tension. Mondlane has positioned himself as a defiant voice against the ruling Frelimo party, leading mass protests and calling for systematic reforms. Mondlane, who emerged as a prominent challenger to President Daniel Chapo, faces five criminal charges, including public apology for crime, incitement for collective disobedience, and public instigation for crime. The director of CDC, Adriano Novunga, explains.
These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle. This is clearly looked at as a weaponization of the law to prevent him from standing in the next electoral cycle.
The United Nations says at the end of this month it will be forced to suspend emergency food aid for more than 1 million people in northeast Nigeria, thus due to a lack of funding. The World Food Programme says this is happening at a time of record levels of hunger. The WFP says its food stocks have been completely exhausted and that potentially life-saving treatment will end for more than 300,000 children under the age of 2. A militant insurgency has intensified recently, causing civilians to flee their homes and farms. The International Court of Justice is set to make a historic ruling on the member states' responsibilities in combating the scourge of climate change. The island nation of Vanuatu in the Pacific Islands says the World Court is the only international jurisdiction with a general competence over the area of international law, which could provide an answer in this regard. Climate change remains a contentious issue, especially after one of the leading economies in the world, the United States, pulled out of the 2015 Paris Agreement on climate change. South Africa is also currently seeking to promote green energy as one of the effective ways in tackling the global challenge. Kylie Khumalo reports.
The International Court of Justice, which is the central organ of the United Nations, authorized the International Union for Conservation Nature to participate in the advisory proceedings on the obligations of the states regarding climate change. The World Court's 15 judges will count on strands of environmental law when they deliver their findings at the Peace Palace in The Hague, Netherlands, this afternoon. Some of the questions the ICJ will seek to address include the key responsibilities of countries to protect the globe from the effects of climate change and reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases. They'll also tackle the issue of legal consequences for those states who fail to comply.
Lastly, government offices in at least 10 Iranian provinces have been closed after temperatures soared to 50 degrees Celsius in some places. The heat wave comes amid a big drop in rainfall that's left reservoirs supplying water to the capital Tehran at their lowest levels in a century. The BBC's Mike Thompson reports.
More than half of Iran's provinces have been hit by extreme temperatures. Many areas have seen 40 degrees Celsius, rising to 50 degrees in parts of the south. The sweltering heat has been accompanied by the biggest drop in rainfall for 60 years, drastically reducing water levels in some reservoirs. Many government offices have been shut and staff told to work from home and stay inside.
Recapping on your top stories, the Southern African Development Community is holding the 27th ordinary meeting of the Ministerial Committee of the Organ on Politics, Defence and Security Cooperation in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. The meeting is focusing on issues aimed at promoting peace and security in the region. Now, for any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News. I'm Onele Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Well, it's 7 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Can you believe it is now the final hour of the Upside? If the second hour is the golden hour, which one is this one? Is the twilight hour? Which one is this one? The final hour.
Welcome to the final hour of the Upside.
Final hour. Okay. No fancy William Shakespeare there. All right. No. It is indeed the final hour of the Upside on Channel Africa, the African Perspective, with Tebogo Kuleni and Matsheko Mosito. Interesting conversation that we're about to have. Mm-hmm. If you are a racing fan, vroom, 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 vroom. Which car is that one?
The car from Soweto. I don't know.
No, not the ones that will feature at the Kailami Grand Prix. No.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Listen, the South African or the Southern African Endurance Series will continue to gain momentum as it gears up for the fourth race of the season, the 4 hours at Kyalami, taking place on Saturday, the 26th of July, 2025, at the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit. We'll be talking all things that in this first half of the hour, and in the second half, we've moved what caught your eye. I said earlier, I'll be talking about Ukeni, Kunene. Already there's conversations in the background. Technical team is having a whole debate about what Kenny said to whom and whys and what and whom's. Hey, we'll be unpacking that during What Caught Your Eye. Are you a racing fan? I was asking Lulu earlier. She's like, she's been there maybe once or twice in a very long time. Are you a car racing fan? Would you go to a Grand Prix and sit down for the whole day and watch cars rev up their engines?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I would enjoy the experience. I would want to go.
You're not a fan of speed, are you?
Not necessarily. I'm a very slow person. I like to sit under a tree and absorb the negative ions from the tree.
Why are you saying it like that?
That's what I love to do. So no, not a fan of racing cars. Although I think I would enjoy the experience.
It's an interesting one because from what I can remember, and I'm not generalizing. Or actually, I am generalizing. All right, women love speed. On the road, I've seen women driving very quickly. And as much as you sort of expect a guy to drive recklessly, well, not recklessly, but drive with speed, I've seen women. I've sat in cars driven by women, and I've had to hold on to my seat because they're so quick on the road. I'm like, there's no need for this kind of speed. What's happening? You're not like that.
You are not incorrect.
You are like that.
You are. You are not far from the truth.
I knew it. I knew it was not my
on the road. We're a little bit different. But look, I mean, a person can be multifaceted. You know. Maybe they don't necessarily go to racing cars, but maybe when they're in their own vehicle and the vehicle allows and the road is calling you, because this is what the road does, especially when it's open.
Okay.
There's no one there. It goes.
Yes.
It calls you.
I don't mind speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the way that you speed and the way
what
that
makes
women
it so
speed.
different?
You know, when you see danger approaching you, there's like, there's a sharp corner that you don't have to drive so quickly. You will still drive so quickly. And I've seen this myself. That's why I'm like, women, you love speed, but in circumstances where it does not call for it. I could be wrong, but you can tell me otherwise. +2 763 406 I keep forgetting the WhatsApp line today. It's 11 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside.
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par les questions qui comptent? As-tu une voix qui mérite d'être entendue? Eh bien, nous avons la plateforme parfaite pour toi. Téléphone-nous ou fais-nous un WhatsApp au +27 66 408 87 42 et nous te rappellerons. Sois dans la conversation.
Salut Channel Africa, ici Beno le diamant rouge et Bina l'export depuis le Cameroun, le pays des lions. Voilà.
Sois dans la conversation. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de parler, mais c'est ta chance d'exprimer ton point de vue, de partager tes opinions et de t'engager avec une communauté qui valorise ton avis. Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, visitez notre site www.channelafrica.co.za et préparez-vous à partager vos points de vue sur Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
In this episode of Channel Africa Conversations, Peter talks to Dr. Tulisile Buddha, an academic, author, and an expert in indigenous knowledge systems. Join us for a compelling discussion on preserving African languages and traditions in the digital era. Dr. Tulisile unpacks the role of educators, explorers, and how technologies like AI can support cultural preservation, and challenges us to rethink how we honor African heritage. You can find the episode on YouTube, SABC Plus, and on our website, channelafrica.co.za. This episode is a must-listen for educators, creators, and change makers across the continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. The Upside. Africa's voices.
Just had to tell you. Happy gigi, ogotu yangi kitasa, ogotu pelile, jabile njengamanje, iso kalambi, liyang tanda, he was made for me, that for him, no pelegi me.
noma sengiphansi ngiphezulu ngizama ukuveza ikhono sengilahla indlela zami zakudala ngiyindoda engcono ngiziphathwe kwe-gentleman ngicela indlebe ngikhwela umbono shono I figured that we are still a team we're still like figurines I'm scared of what it means revive a dying dream a trip to the Philippines vula mehlo sithanda sami ungathi lethi siphetho the mind and the heart always they don't agree sometimes you want what it's not meant to be the mind and the heart don't always agree.
60 minutes past 3 p.m. in Central African time. I think I was enjoying that song a bit too much. I Am Bama coming through, proudly South African music, featuring a man who has just been wonderful in terms of being a creative. He's been a magazine editor, he's an actor, he's a musician, he's a lyricist. His name is Kabomo, coming through with a song titled Mind the Heart. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside with Tebogo Kuleni and Matsheko Mosito until 4 p.m. in Central African time. We are headed to the race track right now, aren't we?
Yes,
I think you would do it justice. Tell us about it.
Yes. Revving up your engines. Like the sound Matseko was making earlier.
Wow.
Engines. Engines are revving and the adrenaline is building because this Saturday, what's the date? The 26th of, yes it is, the 26th of July 2025. This Saturday, the Southern African Endurance Series roars back into the iconic Kyalami Grand Prix circuit for the fourth race of the season. It's called the 4 Hours of Kyalami, with top teams, elite drivers, and high-stakes racing on the line. It's a day of motorsport lovers to remember. Or rather, it is the day for you to remember. But it's not just about what happens on the track. The Vodacom For You zone brings interactive thrills for fans and families alike, including sim racing, gaming showdowns, and activities for the kids. It's a whole family affair, this, and I'm very excited about it. Plus, young guests from local charities will be treated to a special experience of speed and joy. Joining us on the line to further unpack will be Liema Letlaka, acting CEO of SAYES, the Southern African Endurance Series, to unpack the action ahead. Earlier I was saying, Matseko, that are you a fan? But now that I've mentioned the fact that it's very family inclusive, there's a little area for the kids to do race simulation, would you now consider going?
Absolutely. I love to take my children to as many places as possible. So if there is a part of this event that they would enjoy, I'm taking them with.
I love that.
Yes.
We'll be getting into conversation about all things 4 Hours of Kyalami right after the break.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invitée du jour, la belle Aïna Mwenze. Elle est là, certaine, l'appelle Boss Lady.
Bonjour Monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aïna. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business, comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me suis dit, bon, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
For Mandela, life was about making a difference, not just living. This Mandela Day, Channel Africa honors that legacy.
It is for humanity, or for society, to decide how I should be remembered. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying.
On Channel Africa.
The African Perspective.
Matseko Musito and Deboholi Kuleni on the upside.
It's 21 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Listen, here are some of the cars that you can find at the SAYES, the South African Endurance Series, right? Sports and GT cars, there's some production saloon cars, sport racing cars, McLarens, Lamborghini, Porsches, BMW, Shelby's. Oh my goodness me. But to tell us a bit more about the 4 Hours of Kyalami taking place this weekend on the 26th of July is Liema Letlaka, acting CEO of SAYES, to unpack the day ahead. Liema, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the Upside.
Thank you for having me. Sorry about the interconnection issues.
No, we have you now. That's all that matters, and I want to know about this series. Let's get to the basics. What is the series about? We understand that it's now in its, shall we say, in the leg of the Kyalami stretch. But I want to know the series. What is it about? What does it feature? How many races? How many racers? And what is the prize money at stake?
So basically, SAS is a series, a racing series, it's an endurance series that has many supporting classes as well. We have the bikes riding with us this weekend. They've joined us since the beginning of this year, so they're always something exciting to see. Um, we have other cars that are not necessarily GT cars. We have Silver Cup, who's also in partnership with us for this race. So Vodacom was also coming in with the family zone, which is exciting. So we're going to have lots of families at the track. Hopefully, young boys and girls that also feel inspired by the race and hopefully join us one day.
Awesome. I'm interested to find out about the balance that CS incorporates when we look at high performance racing and also building on community engagement as well. What do you do with regards to that?
Regarding that, we have a foundation called Africa Race Together, which we call it for short art. And in that foundation, we want to introduce children from underprivileged backgrounds or underrepresented backgrounds to also come to the race, see what it's all about, and hopefully that will motivate them and inspire them to see the race. So the balance of having the motorsport and the organization is to try drive the community and the younger youth to racing in many ways and not just to be the race car driver.
Liam, walk us through the day on Saturday. What can we expect? It's called 4 hours of Kyalami. What can families expect and racing enthusiasts?
For racing enthusiasts, we start the day off very early at 8 o'clock with our supporting classes going up. So that's the bikes, those the other classes like Silver Cup, which are coming with 50 cars. So it's always nice to see a full grid. And then the endurance race starts at 1 o'clock. And then that's the 4 hours of Kyalami.
And over the years, I mean, talk to us perhaps a little bit about the history of SAYES. How has it grown or how has it changed since the first race?
Since the first race, I would say that we have a lot more participation. We started off SAS with only 11 cars on the grid on a full-time basis. We now average about 30 cars per class. Our biggest class this time is Silver Cup, which is amazing because they are our new partner. But it's grown, and the way that we've also grown it is by social engagement. We have more social engagement. I will admit that endurance racing in South Africa was starting to look like an aging popularity. So I'm happy to see the younger kids as well racing and handling these cars the way that they do. So we have more younger youth drivers as well. We have a lot of more mechanics on the younger side as well. So it's constantly, for me, I love seeing the youth there, and the transition is constantly something that we look forward to seeing.
I love that. You mentioned earlier that there's going to be a Vodacom zone. Tell us some of the activities that families and kids can expect to see in that zone.
So in that zone, we've tried incorporating real racing, which is what you see when you're sitting in the balconies looking over the track, and sim racing, which is something really cool because now you get to also sit back and experience and feel like the driver in the simulators are in the Kyalami track in a simulator that feels like a real car. So I think that that's what the Vodacom for You zone is going to feel like. It's going to be reality versus virtuality. So I'm so happy that people get to experience racing in a different way.
And just extending on that, when we look at the experience for the fans, you know, is there any technological incorporations into the event that are going to enhance the fans' experience?
In this round, I think our new experience is the eSIM. We haven't had before any simulators, so that is our new experience. But besides that, we are working on ways to further grow things that the spectators can also enjoy and be involved in for the 9-hour coming up in November.
Liam, tell us, how does it feel? I know the English there was off, but I want to know, how does it feel being in one of these fast cars, whether it's a GT, whether it's a bike, I am sure you have been in one of them, because as a representative, you need to test the tracks yourself, I'm sure. But for those of us who've never been, tell us, how does it feel? Tell us about the tingles, the feelings being in those supercars.
Back in 2023, we used to have something called the hot lap, where racers would take spectators on the track for a very quick hot lap. And some used to come out vomiting, nervous still from what they've just experienced. But on my side, I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I don't really feel like much of but excitement. So I get excited every time I'm in the car. I get excited. I'm just thrilled to see how they take the curves, the corners, and the way that everything and the background in the racing, how they have to handle the cars, the drivers themselves.
It sounds very exciting. We're talking about the Southern African Endurance Series and its return to the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit. It's happening this Saturday. Of course, this is in Johannesburg. Okay, so if you're in the Johannesburg area on the 26th of July, this coming Saturday, you're going to love it. Okay, Liama is telling us all about it. Liama Tlaga in her capacity as acting CEO of Sayers. Okay, so this I've got to ask this now, for the feminine collective who are like you, who are adrenaline junkies, who just love to accelerate and experience. Have you seen a growing audience with women who are, loving speed, who are loving, car racing, who are loving this kind of experience, as it were?
Yes, I am. Especially as well in the influencer space. I'm seeing more of females that are involved in speaking about motorsport. In terms of being involved in motorsport, there hasn't been much change, but we do have a few female drivers that are part of our series. Recently, I went to go see the karting side of motorsport, and there's a lot of little girls karting, which always makes me excited because that's where I started as well. And hopefully they'll stick with it and get to the circuit part of their careers.
Liama, where can we get the tickets for this Saturday?
On our website, which is www.sas.com. There's our link there for our tickets, for VIP, general, and grid walk, and many other things that you can get for the day.
Okay, I think, look, if you're looking for an activity, this is the one. Liama, thank you very much. All the best with the event on Saturday, and we'll see you on the racetrack.
Oh, thank you so much. Please do come if you guys have time.
Sure. You've got Tebogo super excited there. So, yeah. All right, here we are. It is almost at 5:30. I always do this. It's a 3:30. Let's check in with sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Musibudi Makura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. So Algeria coach Mahdid Bohere has finalized his 26-man squad for the upcoming 2024 Total Energies African Nations CHAN tournament, and key inclusions have boosted the local Fanex push for continental glory. So with CHAN 2024 set to kick off officially on the 2nd of August in Kenya, Tanzania as well as Uganda, the coach trimmed his preliminary list of 28 to 26 players, including some of the country's key players in Ahmed Mehoui and the final squad. Now, the squad also released by the Algerian coach is seen as extremely strong, even though it excludes midfielder Adeboref Boguet as well as a striker Rendouane Bakan, two players seen as potential starters. So the Desert Foxes were runner-ups at last year's edition of the CHAN tournament on home soil, will now aim to go one better in terms of winning this year's competition. Algeria have been drawn, by the way, in a very competitive Group C alongside South Africa, Uganda, Guinea as well as Niger. Algeria will begin their CHAN campaign against Uganda and are determined to shed the runner-up tag this time around. Of course, this competition co-hosted by Kenya, Tanzania as well as Uganda. Now, Banyana utility player Gabriela Salgado was stretched off the pitch following a horrific injury towards the end of the second half against Nigeria in the semi-final of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament. The coach of the side, Dr. Desiree Ellis, admits that her players lost concentration after that incident. They went on to lose that game by 2-1.
But from the players' side, it definitely looked really, really bad because we had to calm them down. We had to make sure that they stay focused, and it was very difficult after that moment. But like I said, once I receive the medical report, we'll know how bad it is.
Ellis also states that she was impressed with the team's overall performance despite failing to defend the championship title.
But we showed today why we're the champions. We showed today 120 minutes. We didn't look like a team that had gone 120 minutes. We gave it as good as they gave it. And I think if you look at yesterday, the first couple of minutes was exchanges. Andili, I think, made a double save. But after that, we had the better chances. And we said it's going to come on one of those half chances that we had to take, and we didn't take it.
Well, still, we'll remain with women's football news. So Spain are determined now to end a miserable past record against Germany when the two sides meet in the last four of the Women's Euros 2025 tonight, with midfield star Alexia Putellas setting her sights now on more history for the World Cup holders. Now, having won the World Cup back in 2023, Spain are now looking to add a first European Championship title and to also confirm their status as a dominant side in international women's football. So while Spain have never been European champions, Germany have a record 8 continental crowns and were the leading force in the women's game in the first decade of this century. Spain have never beaten Germany, notably losing when the teams met in the group stages of the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup, as well as last year's edition of the Euros competition. And finally, in case you missed it, Venus Williams became the second oldest woman to win a WTA Tour level singles match by beating Peyton Stones at the Washington Open DC. Now, Williams overcame the world number 35 and fellow American Stones, who's 22 years her junior, 6'3" and 6'4" in the first round. Williams is the oldest woman to win a singles match on tour since Martina Navratilova at the age of 47 back in 2004. Now, 7-time singles Grand Slam champion Williams, who gained entry at this year's tournament via a wild card, had not played since March of 2024. Williams, who also won 14 Grand Slams in the doubles alongside her sister Serena, last won a singles match in August of 2023. Although Williams never said that she has retired, she was listed by the WTA as inactive for the past 16 months. It's 15:35 p.m. Central African Time, and concludes your sports news this hour. I'm back with the final sports update for the afternoon in the next hour. As always, for any sports stories you'd like to share with us, simply send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. The upside. Your afternoons just got even better.
Bantu Biko Street by Simpiwe Dana. Ndi ready. Simpiwe, 20 years in song. So what emotions come up when you hear that, hey, you've been doing this for 20 years now?
It almost feels like no time has passed, eh? I just, I know obviously time has passed, but I don't feel it. Even about my age, I'm 45. I always get shocked when I think, oh my God, in 5 years' time, I'll be 50. Because for me as an artist, it's almost like when it comes to certain things, time stands still. And as a result, you find that a lot of artists are very childlike, which, it helps them to always have a fresh approach to issues.
I tell you what, I'm feeling healed just by that.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
36 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time, and for the very last time on the upside this afternoon, let's hand the mic over to Buntle Headbush for business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invité du jour, la belle Aina Mwenze. Elle est là, certaine. La belle Boss Lady.
Bonjour Monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aina. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business, comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me dis, bon, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
For Mandela, life was about making a difference, not just living. This Mandela Day, Channel Africa honors that legacy.
It is for humanity, of a society, to decide how I should be remembered. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying.
On Channel Africa.
The African Perspective.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Good afternoon. In our top business story at this hour, an agreement signed by Zambia's government paving the way for the development of a $1.1 billion crude oil refinery and energy complex in Ndola in the country's copper belt is expected to create thousands of jobs, increase the country's energy security, and cushion its fuel prices from exchange rate fluctuations. The country's Industrial Development Corporation says the planned facility will process about 60,000 barrels per day of crude oil, providing enough refined product to cover the Southern African nation's entire current fuel demand, with the potential to export as well. The CEO of Zambia's Industrial Development Corporation, Conwell Mulea, explains.
We estimate that we are going to create 3,000 jobs in the construction phase of the project, which is a period of 1 year. With phase one, eventually the project will settle around 600 to 700 jobs because of the high efficiency that we have on the technology that we are deploying on the refinery. Over and above that, the complex will contain a power station and with 100 megawatts, set to feed the grid. So it's a broad-based industrial complex that will start the industrialization.
South Africa's JSE's All-Share Index has hit a new record, surpassing the 100,000 mark. The stock exchange All-Share Index consists of 99% of the country's largest listed companies across all sectors. The rally on the JSE is in line with the higher global markets following the US and Japan trade deal. The local markets have also been cheering the appropriations bill vote expected in Parliament today. Chief Investment Officer at MP9 Asset Management, Ahish Singh, elaborates.
The JSE has just crossed 100,000 points for the first time in its history. What's driving this is a mix of strong commodity tailwinds and renewed local confidence. Mining stocks are leading the charge, with the precious metals and mining index doubling since December, with gold up 40% year on year and platinum also rallying. South Africa's reputation as a commodity-heavy market means global investors allocate here when metals run, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
South Africa's Director General of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Mlungisi Cele, and CSIR CEO Dr. Thulani Dlamini will today host a delegation led by Germany's Minister Reem Alabali Radovan at the Council for Geoscience and Industrial Research in the capital, Pretoria. The visit aims to strengthen collaboration on health innovation between the two countries. South Africa and Germany share a strategic partnership focused on building biomanufacturing skills and boosting local vaccine production in response to the health challenges exposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Michael Mbewe reports.
Support from partners like the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, the Germany Agency for International Cooperation, KfW, a development bank owned by the German government, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is crucial for advancing local health innovation and biomanufacturing and to meet the African Union's goal for local vaccine production that 60% of local needs be met locally by 2040. Dr. Cele will share South Africa's vision for advancing local health technologies, fostering South-to-South partnerships and leveraging cooperation to accelerate the continent's journey towards self-reliance in vaccine manufacturing.
South Africa's Competition Commission has welcomed the approval of the proposed merger between the French media company Canal Plus and MultiChoice. The Competition Tribunal conditionally approved the over $1.7 billion deal yesterday that could significantly transform the local media landscape. The merger sets the stage for the combined group to take on the likes of global streaming giant Netflix and forms part of the French headquarter firm's expansion in Africa. Spokesperson for the Competition Commission, Siabulela Makunga, says the approval follows their recommendations made in May.
Of note is the commitments by the major parties to ensure that there will be no retrenchments for the period of 3 years post the merger, but also supply development of over 3 years with focus on expenditure on local content and procurement for SMEs as well as historically disadvantaged persons.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba have struck a trade deal that will include a 15% tariff on U.S. imports from Japan. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said the deal would include $550 billion of Japanese investments in the United States and improved market access into Japan for American goods, including automobiles, rice, and other agricultural products. Japanese autos, which account for more than a quarter of all the country's exports to the U.S., will also be subject to a 15% tariff, down from a punishing 27.5%. The U.S. has also agreed to not impose any caps on auto imports. Steel and aluminium, which are subject to a separate 50% tariff, were not included in the deal. And now if I look at the indicators, one US dollar in Nigeria is trading at 1,529 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 43. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 34, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 3. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 56. Russia is 78 rubles 31. India, 86 rupees 32. China, 7 yuan 17, and South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 59 cents. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,428 and platinum at $1,467 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $68.08 a barrel. And those are your business news. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Buntle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay logged right here.
Wathinta umfazi, wathinta umbokodo. Loosely translated, that means you strike a woman, you strike a rock. Let me tell you who I am. My name is Nsako Mhlanga, and I was born in KZN, but my roots are actually found in Mozambique. I am a business and radio graduate, and I am extremely passionate about education, African stories, and African creativity. What sets me apart is how I would like African stories to be told and how I tell African stories. Channel Africa, I am very excited to share those African stories with you, to share about the lifestyle that us Africans live, and to really tell the feel-good stories that are found in our beautiful continent. I will be joining on a lighter note every single Saturday from 6 to 9 a.m. And I will be joining the Oasis every single Sunday from 6 to 9 a.m. I am Nsako Mhlanga, the African Diamond. You and I are best of friends, so come join us from 6 to 9 a.m.
If it's news and current affairs, leading opinions, and thought leaders that get your groove,
This is your home, The Upside.
I love how you're staring at me.
Well, you are the head honcho.
No,
you know, you are the head honcho.
That song, because I want to give people the right description of the song, the title,
Right.
and the artist. I'm hoping you're shazamming it at home so that you can do that link.
DJ Chase
sang that song.
Yeah, this is like your favorite song in the world. DJ Chase and Bon Evoke, Everything. It's like your favorite song.
Bonje Evoke.
Yes.
That's a
Bonji and Evoke.
Oh, Bonje.
Yes.
Oh,
and DJ Chase.
Bonje.
It's like your it is your favorite piece of music. So I'm really surprised that you were not excited to tell us about it. But here we are. with what caught your eye?
Are we going to take a break?
I think we should do that.
Let's
I think
take
we
a
should do
break
that.
in preparation for what caught your eye.
Annika Longi sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons à présent dérouler notre tapis rouge pour accueillir notre personnalité du jour, l'artiste chanteur Sheki Frey, qui est en ligne de Guinée avec nous.
Je suis un artiste guinéen, un créateur, un styliste, et je fais un peu ce qui plaît à mes fans. Voilà, c'est un peu ça. On a beaucoup de genres de trucs à faire, mais bon, pour le moment, on est basé un peu sur le rap.
D'accord. À quelle période de votre vie avez-vous commencé à vous intéresser à la musique, Sheki?
Bon, je crois pas qu'il y ait une période, hein, parce que moi, je suis un mélomane depuis mon petit âge.
Annika Longi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
This is The Upside for the best African vibes. Groundbreaking content.
It's 7 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African time. It's time for What Caught Your Eye? And you can weigh in on those conversations by dropping a comment below on our TikTok account at Channel Africa 1. Shall I go first?
I think you should, because this one is a big story.
So on Monday, the 21st of July 2025, police in South Africa executed a major raid at the Sandton residence of Katiso KT Molefe. One of 4 suspects arrested in connection with the November 2022 drive-by execution of Amapiano star DJ Sambudi. But here's what captured everyone's attention, and here's what caught our eye, is the fact that the Johannesburg MMC, this is the member of the Mayoral Committee for Transport and the Patriotic Alliance Deputy President, Kenny Kunene, was inside the residence when the raid was underway. Molefe, along with 3 alleged hitmen, were taken into custody, and Kunene was not arrested. He was questioned on site, his phone was checked, and he was released shortly thereafter. Here's what caught our eye in this whole situation, is the fact that Kenny Kunene, I don't know who asked him, I don't know if the media houses invited him, but he decided to go to all the newsroom channels. He went to Newsroom Africa, and he went to ENCA, he went to SABC News, and he wanted to clarify why he was at the residence when this arrest took place. Okay? According to him, he was there because he has an online publication that needed a bit of revival. And there was a bit of fascination around this suspect by the name of Katiso Molefe, because he was involved in another murder case. He was released, he was on bail at the time, and they thought it's an interesting case to report on. And he said that it was one of the young journalists in that space that he wanted to introduce to this Mr. Molefe, to cover the story, because he hadn't been doing interviews with anyone. But they wanted to catch it as in breaking news for his online publication. So the MMC of Transport for the city of Johannesburg and Deputy President of the Patriotic Alliance, Kenny Kunene, decided that he is going to e-hail this person, this junior journalist, and escort them to the house of Mr. Molefe to conduct this interview. And according to him, he didn't know this person before. He's never met Mr. Molefe before. In some interviews, he's like, I didn't know Mr. Molefe. In other interviews, like, no, I know him, well, not know him, but I've seen him before, because the facilitator, the person who's facilitated this whole engagement and us being able to come to his house, he once had a party for his mother, and at his mother's birthday party, I saw him there, and I just greeted him because I'm a social guy, I greet everyone, and I went to my little corner. Okay. So according to Kenny, he doesn't know this person, but then he's like, but I know him, but I don't really talk to him. I've never really spoken to this person. And now he is trying to clear his name in terms of saying, I have an alibi. I didn't go there for ill intentions. I'm not there because I'm his friend. I was at the wrong place at the wrong time for the right reasons to conduct an interview. My question is, did he have to go to the news stations to give us this clarity? Who asked for this clarity? We didn't ask for it. And is it a good thing that he went to give his version of it, or did it make him seem or look even more suspicious? Gayton McKenzie, the leader of the Patriotic Alliance, has now suspended him for a month so that there can be investigations conducted and to clear his name. And he's also called that the MMC or the city of Johannesburg also remove him from his role as the MMC for transport. So what do you think? How do you weigh in on this conversation? Do you believe his version of why he was at the house? The question is, why was he at the house? Do you believe his version? Tell us on TikTok. I want to know. Do you
Why
believe?
was he at the
Why
house?
was he at the house? What
my
were you doing
goodness.
there? A busy MMC out here escorting young journalists to conduct interviews. I'm sorry, do you not have a city to run? You have time to go and... anyway, now I'm being a bit very biased there.
One word from me, sensationalism.
Sensationalism, is it?
It's just sensationalist. I don't know what else to say.
Good afternoon, Tammy. What do you think? What do you think about Kenny?
Where do I begin?
Yo.
Because unfortunately for him and his partner, the odds are not stacked in their favor.
Not in their favor.
Because they passed. And so a lot of the comments have been saying, birds of a feather do flock together. And yes, they say that they're changed men, etc. But there's so much that just comes into question now. So we'll see how this unfolds. That's all really that one can say. But yeah, birds of a feather, they say.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know. We'll have to see whatever these investigations. But also note that these are not investigations by law officials. These are internal investigations that are going to be conducted. He said he'll get, people of a good character, of credence to conduct those investigations. So we'll see. But also back in the business of the day, here's what we've got in store for you this afternoon on Africa in Business. The Nigerian Senate has approved President Tinubu's plan for more than $21 billion worth of foreign borrowing, and this is to plug the 2025 budget deficit. So it is a bit of a poikikos, a mixture of yens, of euros, of dollars, of government bonds. We'll be focusing on that as well as the latest on Malawi's financial woes and recommendations coming out of the International Monetary Fund.
Okay, lots to cover. I think across the African region, there's always something to cover when we look at the economics of our continent. It's 4 p.m. in Central African time. Tami Ngubeni will be coming through with Africa in Business just after the news bulletin. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the afternoon. From Tebogo and myself, Masako Musito. Zigomo for tuning in. Asante sana ria leboga. See you again tomorrow.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
Wena man. A very good afternoon to you, Angola. Good afternoon, Benin, Cape Verde, the Comoros. Good afternoon to you, Eritrea, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Djibouti. Good afternoon to you, Africa. Welcome to Africa in Business on Channel Africa. I'm Tami Ngubeni. It's gone exactly just after 4 p.m. Central African time. Let's head over now to the news desk for your latest local, continental, and international news with Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.